Hello everyone, my name is Jen and welcome to the Book Review. And happy New Year's Eve is when this video is planning to go up. And in true tradition of it being the last day of one year and going into the first day of a new year, I decided to do my 2025 goals video, but we're also going to reflect on my goals from 2024. I'm going to do this by using the New Year Booktuber tag, but don't worry, it won't really feel like a tag video. I know not a ton of people love tag videos. It's more of a questionnaire. This video, this tag idea was first created by Jenn Reads Romance a few years back, and she doesn't really do videos anymore. Her life has kind of not allowed for making YouTube videos anymore and things like that, but Jenn is still someone that I talk to, if not daily, at least weekly. We keep in touch a lot, and I think that this tag does a really great job of doing it. So if you are someone who also has a channel or an Instagram and you want to do this as well, please feel free to hop on it. I probably will do a version of this for my Instagram as well, but there's just 8 questions and they are all about what your goals are going to be. And since I don't have it quite enough to say to make this complete own video, it's going to be I went through and I watched my 2024 video. I know a lot of people like to do react videos when they do that stuff, but I had not really interested in trying to figure out the logistics of it, so I watched it myself. So it was from last December, and I looked at what my goals for 2024 were, and I was surprised that I did a relatively good job with that. So as we go through this, I'm first going to tell you if I was successful, and then we'll talk about what my goal is for the next year, if that makes sense. So let's just go ahead and go through this. So the first question is always, what are you most excited for in 2025? And so last year I had said I was excited for the Outlander read-along, the fan fiction readathon, and going to the North Iowa Book Bash. Those were the things that I said, and I think that holds really true. I did enjoy the Outlander read-along. In fact, it's still going on. I planned it to last about 18 months, and so we are a year into it. We are having our live show for An Echo in the Bone will be this coming, the next Sunday coming up, and then we still have to do books 8 and 9. And so I've been giving us about 6 weeks to 2 months for each book, and I think that's been really good. Of course, a lot of people fell off of it pretty quickly just because they're a lot to keep up with, and some people also weren't enjoying the books, which I knew was a possibility as well. They are a lot of pages to commit to, and if you're not enjoying it, that's all right. But there's still a solid group of people working our way through it. So I'm happy that I did finally start the Outlander read-along. People have been asking me to do it for a few years, and that's the hard part with read-alongs like that. One of my friends, Amber, is going to be doing an Immortals After Dark one, and it's hard to set up a read-along that lasts for more than a year even, because people just don't know what their lives are going to be like by the end of that time. It's a lot to commit to, right? But I'm happy that I'm doing it, and it's funny how it worked out because the current season of Outlander, which is almost done, there's only 2 episodes left of it, is going through books 7 and 8, and so I almost wish I'd tightened that back a little bit and we'd be right on pace with the show, but that's okay. It's not about comparing the two. So anyway, those are the fan fiction read-along and North Iowa Book Bash. All of those things happen. I enjoyed all of them, and they were just as exciting as I hoped they would be. I am sad that North Iowa Book Bash isn't happening anymore, but there are a few alternatives coming up that I might try to go to. But particularly the Bells are coming to Minneapolis in 2026. So, and there's a lot of great authors going to that. And Minneapolis is definitely a doable one. I have family in Minneapolis that I could go stay with and not have to pay for a hotel there. And so if you don't have to pay for a hotel or for airfare, it definitely can be doable. Though I doubt it will be as affordable as the, $5 ticket that it was for the North Iowa Book Bash, right? But also, One of my patrons actually sponsored me to go to the North Iowa Book Bash this year, and it was amazing. So loved that. So what am I looking forward to in 2025? So again, it's a lot of like read-alongs that I wrote down because there aren't any real events I'm planning to go to, the same as I said before. If there's some things that pop up, I might do that. I was thinking of trying to take my sister to the Onyx Storm tour because Rebecca Yarros is going on a tour, and the tickets for that in Minneapolis, St. Paul sold out really quickly. And then of course there's tickets for resale, and they are ridiculous. Like for this one author event with like it would cost so much money, and like I don't like Rebecca Yarros enough to go to that. Like I like the books, but I don't like her whole back, like I haven't read any of those, you know, so it is what it is. But things I am excited for. I'm really excited for in January, we'll be doing the Rake Meets the Blue Stocking historical romance readathon. I'm very excited about historical romance in 2025 and making that a priority. I will also still be planning to bring back the Mafia readathon, the Romance Takeover readathon, and another fanfiction readathon. Those are the ones that I commit to hosting. Now we have added in the Romance Takeover readathon as well, so that is a lot. Hosting readathons are a lot, and I'm always thankful to anyone who wants to host. I've had a few fellow YouTubers reach out saying they were interested in co-hosting some with me, and that's great. That takes some pressure off when I have people excited. But it's a lot of work to coordinate it, and I feel like people aren't quite as excited about readathons as they used to be. I think I don't know. I don't think they're as I don't think they're as exciting to the community as they used to be, and that makes me sad because I still love doing them, and that's why I'll keep hosting them. And if it's just me and a few friends doing them, then that's okay. So I'm excited for all of those, and I hope to be a part of some as well. Those are just the ones I'm hosting, so those are the ones I know about. There's a few others that I've been asked about being a part of, and I'd be super interested in doing that. Especially when I don't have to like plan any of the things to do that. I'm all about it. Like I'm all about it. If I don't have to plan it, you know, I'm even more excited. Okay, moving on. Number 2 is, do you have a Goodreads goal or StoryGraph, whatever? And I always have the same goal, and I'm sticking with that again this year because I don't really care about the number that I read, but I do like setting a goal just because it's fun. And the one I always set is, I say this, if you will watch the video from last year, you'll see too. I always set my goal for 365 because I believe a romance a day keeps reality away. I say it every time. It's not a unique saying to myself, but that's what I like to think. And then my stretch goal is always 500. So like this year, I believe I'm going to hit about 480. I'm not so interested in rushing through a few more books just so that I hit that. Like 365 is what I aim for. Also, my Goodreads goal isn't perfectly accurate because I've stopped tracking my fan fiction on there just because a lot of fanfic authors don't wish their stuff to be on Goodreads. And so at first I was tracking these, like, you can basically, there's like blank entries on Goodreads that just say fanfiction by fanfiction, and then you can track it that way. But I don't really care to do that. I don't mind. I just track in my notebook. So again, I think I probably was over 500, but I just don't track those anymore like that. But I'm going to hit about 480, I think. Stay tuned. I believe for sure my video by Saturday will be the top 10, and I'll have all my stats in that as well. I still have a couple books to reread before I finish that one off. But yeah, so it's the same as last year. I hit it. My goal will be the same, 365 with maybe a stretch goal of 500 if I want to. But I feel pretty good that I'll hit it because my pace is usually like 1.5 books per day. And you know, it all depends. It all depends on how long you're reading or whatever. So there we go. Okay, number 3 is, do you have 3 5-star predictions? So, or what are 3 5-star predictions you have? And as always, I say, I don't really do the 5-star prediction thing. I do which ones I think might be a 6-star read because that's my highest one. And I was excited to see what I said last year because I didn't remember what my predictions were. And my predictions for last year for 6-star books were A House of Flame and Shadow, The Wickedness of a Highlander, and God of War. So out of those books, it's funny because I said I was going for 6-star predictions, but I did give House of Flame and Shadow 5 stars. And I believe I gave Wickedness of a Highlander 4.5. It wasn't quite 5. I didn't feel the connection in that book as much as I have in previous ones. So yeah, but God of War, I did give 6 stars to. I think upon reflection, it was a 5-star. That's why it's not actually in my top ones of this year. My initial reaction is that it was like a 6, but it's really kind of a 5. So technically like 2 out of the 3 were 5-star, but they weren't my like 6-star ones. So again, I'm going to go for what I think some 6-star reads might be. And I kind of stuck with the first like quarter of the year just because since I read a lot of indie books, there aren't a ton that are projected out that far. Now, I honestly should just have written Julia Wolf down on this because when I reflect, a lot of my top reads were Julia Wolf this year. I actually read 10 books by Julia Wolf in 2024, but I picked 3 that I think might be 6-star reads. So I picked Firebird by Juliet Cross, which I was blessed enough to get a physical art copy of this from Juliet. This one doesn't come out till April, but I'm planning to read it very soon. Like I want to. I was sent this beautiful copy of it. I'm going to read it very soon. I have a hunch this will be, if not a 6-star, it will be a 5. Like I am very confident in her. And you guys know I do have a bias for Juliet anyway. So you know, we'll see how it goes. Then Onyx Storm, I did put up here, funny enough, because every time I read these, I know there are so many things to not love about them, and people have, you know, people have reservations about those books, but both Fourth Wing and Iron Flame really, like, I had such a great reading experience reading them, both with knowing that like everyone's reading it at the same time. I pre-ordered the audiobook. I was ready for it when it came out. I read it all in one day. I did that in July when I read, you know, in the year before, I did that in July when I read Fourth Wing, and I did it with Iron Flame when that came out in November. And I just loved the experience of reading those. And so I have a feeling Onyx Storm could be that way too. But with those, it really could go either way. And I think also the thing that makes me like them so much is I read them before I see anyone else's opinions. I get to it right away. And so the experience is very like all my own. There are no arcs of that one going out to people that are talking about, you know, like that type of thing. So I think it could be. And then the third one I put is Unloved by Peyton Corinne. Especially after just rereading Unsteady for my favorites of this year, I was reminded at how heartbreakingly beautiful this author writes. And I'm very intrigued to see if she does that with Unloved. I do have an arc of that one, but it does come in February. It's not too long away for everyone else either. And I'm very hopeful that I'll like that one a lot too. So yes, those are 3 that I currently have on there. I have made my anticipated books of the first like quarter of the years already out, so you can see that. And I do have my January like TBR and stuff too. So there's a lot of books I'm excited for. And I'm someone that I leave room for any of those books to surprise me and be a 6-star book. But those are 3 that I have right now. Okay, number 4 is what trope or subgenre do you want to read more of in 2025? So what I said last year was historical romance and science fiction, and I will come back to the historical romance part because that is part of my goals for the year, so we'll get to that one. But last year, saying historical romance and sci-fi, now, I thought I did so much worse with historical romance than I did. So I guess I'll bring this up right now. When I rewatched that video, my goal was to read 3 to 5 historicals every month. And that would mean that on the low end, I would read 36. And on the high end, it would be 60 that I read. Now, I read 38 historicals. So I felt like I was doing so poorly with that I wasn't reading enough. But I did hit my goal for last year. I forgot that was my goal. Like, I didn't write these goals down. They were in this video. And that video from last year. So I'm actually really impressed with myself that I did that. So that's cool. Again, we'll talk about what my goal for 2025 is to do with historicals in a minute, but I stick by that. I want to be reading more historicals. And I also wrote, I want to read more historical romance this year. I want to read more fan fiction. I do. I also read 38 fan fictions total, which is great. My goal last year, I didn't have a number, but I at least wanted to read one every month. I wanted to make time because to me, fan fiction is self-indulgent for me. It is when I have my work done, I can read it. And this last year, I took on more work than ever. Again, we'll talk about that shortly too. And so I had so much less time to do that. So a lot of the fan fictions I read were a lot shorter ones. When I really took on the long ones, it was when we had the fan fiction readathon, and also at the beginning of last year, I was doing some buddy reads with friends. I'm really glad I did because I read a couple that I don't think I would have gotten to those fanfics if I hadn't have read. Shout out to Mel for setting that up. We didn't continue it through the whole year, but the ones that we did read together, I'm really glad we did. I had a lot of fun doing that. I really did. So I want to read more fan fiction because I love it. So definitely want to read more of that. And then I also put romantasy. So I didn't read as much sci-fi last year as I had written I would. Again, I honestly forgot that I had that as a goal. And I'm not really so worried about hitting the sci-fi again. That was just because I was trying to pick out something that I wanted to read more of. That was it. I don't actually like sci-fi romance as much. I still read some now and then that I really like. There's some fun ones out there that I have read, and I just don't gravitate towards them, and it's not something I feel like I need to make a goal. If there's specific sci-fi that pop up and I want to read them, then I will. But ones that I do want to actively search out is I want to read more romantasy, and again, I think I've done a pretty good job with that this year. I read a good amount of them. And the Nerd Fam really helped with that. They offer pretty much only fantasy romance arcs, and they send physical arcs to people. And I feel like I did a good job getting those ones, and I tried a lot of new to me authors. But I want to continue with that. Romantasy is hot right now, so we're going to keep going for it. So that's what I put my goal is for that. So number 5 is what trope do you think will be most popular in the coming year? And what I said last year is I said that small town romance and cowboy, billionaire romance, and hockey romance would be the most popular. Those are the ones that I said, which I thought was interesting to look back at what I thought would be the most popular or was. And I do think that small town and cowboy absolutely were. I read so many of them last year. I was even able, it's even been so popular that it started to fit into more when things start to niche down more and more because there's so much of it, right? There's so much small town that there's cowboy small town, and there is romantic suspense small town, and there, it starts to niche down. Cowboy romance has been able to niche down into dark cowboy romance and things like that because there's been so much of it. So I definitely feel like I was correct with small town and cowboy because there was such a push with that with some of the authors that got big, Elsie Silver and them. And now even some authors I really love have started cowboy series, right? Ember Hughes is a spinoff or is a pen name of Daisy Jane, and she's writing a dark cowboy. And Julia Wolf has started a small town ranch series about the Kelly family. So I think that I was pretty right with that guess. Billionaire romance, I thought that would take off a bit more with Anne of Wong's series being big, and I think Billionaire is just kind of always steady and there. I don't feel like I saw a huge upsurge of it. I also feel like a lot of ones where there's if it's an office romance, he's a billionaire. He is, right? Or things like that. So I think billionaire isn't specifically called out as the main trope of it. It just is kind of there. And then hockey romance, I do think that was steady on, and we were seeing more and more of that. I just finished a hockey romance last night. So one of the things I'm going to do, I'll talk about that in a minute because let me say this first. So what do I think will be most popular in 2025 now? That's what I thought for 2024. What do I think now? I think romantasy is going to continue to be very popular. It is, to me, kind of at that peak right now, though. I think it's getting very oversaturated right now. Now, when that happens, that doesn't mean that it's done, because now we're at the point where a lot of fantasy romance authors are being picked up by those publishers, right? Like Carissa Broadbent, she's fully into that. Bramble is really in Roundup. That's who Juliet's going to be through. So there's a lot that have got picked up that we're going to see them still coming. So that's why I think it is, even the traditionally published ones, which of course are always going to be a bit behind the indie, are getting there. But what's crazy where we're at right now is that normally, right, indie runs away with the trends first, and it takes trad pub a year, 2, 3 years to catch up to where indie was, because you have the publishers who, you know, they're going to go where the money is, and they've realized how much indie romance has those. Have they always picked up the ones that are the best? No, but they're definitely picking up the ones that are the most popular. And so they're scooping up those authors and bringing them into their stable of authors. And so that's interesting, because in some ways it does slow things down a little bit, because now those authors that were pumping out the books every couple months, they are slowed down because they're coming out with the publishers. So that's very interesting to me anyway. But yeah, I think romantasy will still be good. I also think, and we'll see if it's finally the time for this to happen. We'll see. I think there may be some sweeter and more closed door romances that are coming. I don't know how people will react to that. I think that will be very interesting. But I think that the thing that I've been, because I didn't know if I was feeling this way a whole year ago, but what I said well, we're getting to that. That's its own question too. Is I think that the spice for spice's sake is starting to permeate now. There have been people outside of my bubble of friends who are commenting on it now. And so I think that will lead to more indie books, not just trad book, because trad book's already been doing this. Okay, they already have enough closed door. They already have enough of that. But I think that some authors who aren't trying to trace that trend will start getting noticed more. At least I hope they will. But I know for myself, there have been plenty of years past where a good amount of my books in my favorites were erotic romance or were hotter books. And this year, yes, I still have some of those. You know, I have a couple of erotic romances in my top books, but they were all ones that I felt a deep connection with the characters, which is what I want to feel anyway. And I was much pickier about what I gave 6 stars to this year. It's just true. The books that I've given 6 stars to, the amounts have went down year after year, because I'm still very giving of my 5 stars. I throw those out like candy. I don't care. But the ones that are elevated to 6 star, I was pickier and pickier about that. And a lot of it has to do with how sex is handled. That would knock stars off of books for me. Because if there was a hero who was thinking about how her lips would look around his cock, or was thinking about her bent over his desk before he's even asked her name, I immediately have taken a star off the book. That book might end up being really great by a certain point, but it was never going to hit a 6 star for me, because that's not an admirable hero to me. There's actually only one book in my top books that is like sex forward from the jump, because it's an erotic romance, and that's Sovereign. That's the only one in my top books that like starts sex forward. I mean, Honeycut is also very sexy, but that's the second book in a trilogy, so it was okay that we went more into that right away, right? So anyway, that's just an analysis for me, is I think that I'm not the only one who's feeling that, and I'm someone who loves things to get spicy and sexy, and I never hold it against a book how many scenes it has. To me, it's how we started off. And that's why I love Julia Wolf so much. She is like my most read author this year, because of how seriously she takes that. She really builds connection, and then they get as sexy as all get out, but we really build it. So anyway, my predictions for like tropes or things I see would be, I think romantasy is going to stay big, and I think that some of the spice might start being left out of the dish. Not completely, maybe not. But I think some authors will hear that because I didn't hear it for a long time. I only really talked about it with a couple of friends. But now I'm hearing it outside of that. And that's when I think it's going to catch on in other places. And I've seen a change in some authors already. Okay, number 6 is name 3 bookish goals you have for 2025. So here we go. I kept alluding to a few of these. So what are some of my goals that I have, you know, outside the number and everything? So for bookish goals, I want to read 100 new to me authors in 2025. This is something I've never made a goal before. I've just said, oh, I want to read more new to me authors. And I'll talk about this in my yearly, you know, wrap up and all that stuff. That wasn't even something I was purposely trying to track until I literally had an open page in my planner. And I was like, I want to track how many new to me authors I read. I was just like, I just want to know. And I even made a couple videos this year that were smash or pass on new to me authors. And I really liked doing that. And you guys really liked it too. And so this year, I intentionally am going to do that. I even made a page in my journal that this one has the first 64. And it'll say new to me authors. And I'm straight up going to say smash or pass each time. So then when I want to film a video, I'll already have it decided and everything right here. So this last year, I am up to, I think I've read 75 new to me authors, which is amazing. That's so great. And some of those authors, their books are in my favorites of the year. So that's going to be a goal again, whether that is asking for their arcs from PR companies or, you know, like Must Love Audio really got me to try a lot as well, because if I liked the narrators, I tried the author, even if I never tried them. So that's purposely going to be a goal. I want to try to read 100 new to me authors in 2025. Then I want to, as I mentioned with the historicals, try to read 50 historicals. Now, these do include rereads when I do that, because that is the thing of last year. I reread historicals a good amount. Those are my comfort reads for sure. And that will be a thing in 2025, though. I want to try to read 50. That's not quite up to the 60, but since I am going to start the year off with the historical romance readathon, I'll hopefully have a good boost for that. But I did make a pretty page in my journal for that as well, where I'm going to track my historical romances. I had a lot of fun making this journal page. It's so cool. If you want to see a full flip through of my journal, I won't be putting it on YouTube, but it is currently available on my Patreon at the Swooning for You level, or it's at the Faithful Follower level. So I'm not going to do a flip through on YouTube, but it is available on Patreon if you want to see. But this is one that I'm going to be actively working on, is reading 50 historicals. I think that's a good amount. And then I have, as I said, a more kind of like nebulous bookish goal. Oh, I didn't talk about what I did in 2024. I'll talk about that in a second. Sorry. Since I'm already talking about new goals, we'll just keep going. I want to take less popular arcs and take less each month. So doing that together. And that's something, again, I've been pretty good with. I mean, I do have some favorite authors that I'm on their arc teams, or I'm always going to ask for theirs. But I want to be more okay with not having to read the book first for some authors, right? Like there's some authors that I feel really left behind if I don't get theirs. And those authors seem to always have their books come out the same month as each other. And then I end up with like what January is, where I am signed up for, here's my journal here, let me see this. I'm literally looking at 27 arcs for January that I'm committed to. And I have another like 6 books coming out that I want to read, but I'm not committed to. And that is just so much to expect of myself and not leave any room for fun. Like, yes, I read between 35 and 50 books every month. I do. That's about what my average is. It's been closer to that 35 number. Between 35 and 45 in this last year. And I haven't left myself room for things that I want. And January itself is like stacked, you guys, because I also still have Patreon books to get through, which I like have to read those ones. Plus, I do have a little TBR challenge that's just for fun. Like, I'm not even fully announcing that one. You can see in my January TBR, I made a little like Monopoly board that these are the books that are like for fun. I just wrote down ones that I want to be getting to, and they are for fun for me. But I just haven't left myself any room. And so last year, midway through, I decided like, okay, I'm going to max it out at only 15 arcs a month. And I didn't hit that a single time since I made that goal. I was over it. I had 18, 20, 22. It's just too many slices. Like, I've gotten better at saying no. I've pretty much said no to almost all unsolicited arcs in the past 4 months. I've said no to any that have been email asked to me. I've only said yes to either authors I was already reading. If they offered me one, I did. But otherwise, I've only asked for ones that I've like wanted to try, because like I said, I want to try these new to me authors. I want to support smaller authors, but there's also a whole list of my favorite authors that I'm going to be reading their books. And so I've just drowned myself. So January, I won't be able to hit that goal. I will hit some of the read the less popular ones. I have signed up for, let's look, like, let me say who some of the new people are to me. Who are some smaller authors that I'll be trying? I'm going to be trying Mina Miles. I'd never heard of her before. Marie M. I've never heard of her before. Ellie K. Wild, although she is a trad pup, I'd never heard of her before. So those are a few that I'd never heard of them before that I want to try them. But otherwise, all the rest are like big authors who all have their books coming out in January, and I'm signed up for them all. So in February so far, I'm at 16, and I'm really, 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 really going to try not to take on any more arcs. It doesn't mean I don't put the books as to read if there's the books coming out. It's that I don't have to have the arcs of them. I want to have room to read what I want. And I have not been able to do that in really many months. It's been really tough to do that. So that's a goal that I really want to do for myself, is to max out at 15 every month of arcs, and then also take less popular ones, because that's how you find new favorites, which is great. Okay, what did I say last year? That's what I was going to say. So last year I tried to do the 12 recs for 12 friends. I didn't do super great with that one. I think I did 5 out of the 12. So I'm actually not even doing a 12 recs for 12 friends this year, though I will say that Unsteady was one of my 12 recs for 12 friends. And there was another one too that, well, Unsteady ended up in my 6 star, so I'm really thankful for that. And there was a couple other that I did like, but I already have like my viewer recommendation book form that I try to read books off of. The 12 recs for 12 friends, like I don't need to do that. So, like, I didn't do well on it last year, and I'm not going to do it again. The Outlander read-along, as I said, yes, we're doing well with that one. I have completed up to where we're at so far. We're not done with it yet, but I'm doing a good job. And then the third one was read more for myself and find new to me authors. So, as I mentioned, I did read a lot of arcs, but I did do the second half. I read 75 new to me authors, and I think that was a good, like, I did good with that. So that's what I did last year. This coming year, read 100 new to me authors, read 50 historicals, and take less popular arcs with no more than 15 per month. So what's great is that all 3 of those things can be combined together. You know, there'll be, if I read a new to me historical romance author that it's an arc of their book, that'll hit like all of those. So that'll be great. Okay, number 7, name 3 personal goals that you have. So last year I said, what did I say? Where did I write this? Well, last year I know I said I wanted to get out of debt. I wanted to stay healthy, and work on my mental health. Those were all things that I said. And I still need to work on the stay healthy. That didn't work too well in this last year. I mean, I'm feeling pretty good still, but I want to do better with that, as always. But My mental health is doing pretty good. That was something that I said last month. The medication's still been helping really well. We've had another pretty mild winter so far, so that also really helps. That's great. So yeah. And then I said I want to purge my closet and upgrade some of my shelves were things I said. And I did upgrade most of my shelves. As you can see, the one behind me over there. I still have one in my bedroom I want to upgrade, but I did do those. And then pay off some of my credit cards and my loans. Now, I did pay off my dental loan that when I got some stuff done there. My car's paid off. But I haven't, like, taxes were so much more than I was expecting. They will be again this year. So the financial situation is still something that I'm working on. But we're always going to be working on that, right? We always will. And then, yeah, so that's what I said last year. This year, I have some of the same things: to stay healthy, lower my debt, and try a new craft. I picked a lighter one. I love trying new crafts. I've done that with, like, my book nook that I've done. And before that, the year before that, it was cross-stitching and my sewing and everything. So I want to find a new craft. Maybe I'll try a diamond painting or something like that. But yes, I do want to lower my debt. And one of the things that I think will make that possible is I am taking on some work with an author. My patrons already know who that is. I'm not going to say who it is yet because, like, I'm signed on. I'm supposed to start with them at the beginning of the year, but we haven't, like, started yet. So I don't want to count my chickens before they hatch or anything with that. But it's supposed to be starting soon. And hopefully that will help me with my taxes, as well as getting out of debt in some other places to have some steady income to count on every month, which is great. But as always, I wouldn't be able to do this without you guys watching and liking this video. Those of you who support me through Patreon and channel memberships, I'm always stunned that you guys do that because I wouldn't be able to do this at all if I didn't have that. So, okay, and then number 8 is, what do you want to leave behind in 2025? And in 2024, I said, leave behind books that are spicy for spice's sake. See, right? I said that last year. I said anxiety, and then needing to be friends with everyone. That is what I said. And I went into a whole explanation. Again, I'll have this video linked so you can see the details I meant about that, because I get more specific about what I mean. How did I do? So leave behind books that are spice for spice's sake. I think, as I said, I did really well with this. Particularly, you can tell based on what my top books of the year are going to be, because, well, I'm not saying they're all one chili pepper by any means. They all had to have a lot of heart behind them as well to be there. And I think the ones in my top books all did that, and I feel really good about it. And I was a bit harsher to books that, like I said, sexualized everything without a cause. You know, the minute a hero sees someone, does he compliment her being able to take a cock, or does he compliment, like, she's intriguing to me? It does not mean that a hero doesn't find her attractive. Of course, I want him to find her the sexiest person he's ever seen. But there are other ways to show that without immediately making him look like a dog, you know? And I feel like I did that this year. I was much more like, hey, authors, I don't like this. Like, I was much more honest about that. But I still read some of my smutty fun times. Again, I'm not saying there isn't a time and a place. It's just I don't think that every mafia romance has to be written that way, you know? Or small town romance, for goodness sakes. Like, come on. Anxiety. I think I did a lot better with that anyway. I'm definitely, like I said, I'm still worried, like, my tax bill is going to be insane, and I'm just always nervous about that. But I'm a bit more chill about it in the way of, like, I'm not going to get thrown in jail. It's all right. I'm doing the best I can. All of my other bills are paid, which means I have a place to live, a roof over my head, a car to drive, food to eat. The government can take its fucking time, you know, like, whatever. Like, it's gonna try to bleed you dry no matter what. But being more just calm about, like, I have enough food to eat, I have a place to lay my head, I have shelves for my books to be on, like, it's okay. And I think that has relieved my anxiety a little bit. And then needing to be friends with everyone. So this is something I definitely got better about. And again, I go into detail about what I mean about that in the previous video. But I just didn't want to, it's not that I wanted to be mean to anyone or that I wanted to, you know, like cut any specific people out. There wasn't. It's just I wanted to be clear about the community that I have and foster the people who give me their time and I give my time to them. I don't need to give my time to everyone. And honestly, I can't. I'm no one huge by any means, but I am a bigger YouTuber than I've been before, right? I have had good growth. And so there are a lot of people who want my attention or who need things, and I want to be giving support and my attention to the people who support me, not begging for attention from other people. And the people that I do keep and foster relationships with, they know they're important to me because I tell them. There's no need to guess if I care about you. I will have said it. Even those strangers on the internet I've met, those of them that are my friends, like, they know it because I'm intentional about going out of my way to talk to them. And, you know, let's set up a chat. Let's talk on Facebook Messenger for a while. Like, let's do a video chat. Like, I've made time to do those things, and I'm less worried about what everyone's thinking about me, because also I purposely try to live my life with dignity and kindness and like with some intelligence as much as I can. And so some people may want to like misconstrue things you say, or I may not word things perfectly every time, but I know that my inner being and who I am is like truthful and honest and good, and that's going to come out in what I do. Is my delivery perfect every time? No. But people who care about you will ask you to say things a different way or want to talk about you. And people who are on the internet looking for clickbait, looking to drag someone, they're going to jump to conclusions and take that somewhere. And I can't do anything about that. So I have to choose, how I live my life and not worry about out there. Because one thing that has been proven to me over and over again is that the people who support me with Patreon, people who can't support me that way but have watched every video I've put out, they know my character because I've been open about it, and they can call me out, and the things that I do need to apologize for, I do. And the things that I think are, no, I'm not going to apologize for that, I said it like I meant it, they respect me for that, and they're not going to like jump ship if I say what I really think about something. So, and for the most part, the stuff I'm saying what I think about it is about books anyway, and that's opinion based, and I'm not interested in getting into any of the other things, and I've kept my channel that way, and I've been rewarded. I mean, literally, I've been rewarded by keeping my focus on the stories and on being excited and sometimes a little snarky, and I've been rewarded for that. And through the years, there have been people who've tried to like criticize and critique that and say whatever, and like, I'm still here. Anyway, that got deeper than I meant, but it's true. My point being, again, this isn't towards anyone specific or anything. In this last year, I've had so few bad interaction, like so few of them, because just the people in my orbit aren't like that. And so there's nothing to even be there's no one I'm referencing because I have nothing catty to say about anyone, and I haven't really seen much come back at me either. And I think that's a great thing. I don't have drama to complain about or say about because I stay out of it and people stay out of my business, and it's great. So, okay, that was for last year's, and I think I've done well with it. What is it for this year? Mine's as simple as I want to leave in 2024 following trends. There are certain trends I like have to follow to make money, but in regards to reading what people say or being hyped about the things people want, like if it's a trend that I like, I'll be there for it. But if it's not, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing because, you know, books are eternal for most part. I mean, like long lasting for the most part, you know. So those stories are still going to be there in a few years. So if they're hyped now, it'll stand the test of time if it's good. You know, if I come back to it in a few years and it's good, then it stood up to it. So yeah, in 2025, I just want to leave behind following trends and also like clickbait conversations on Threads and Instagram and wherever. Like I have no interest in it. Instagram forces you to go on to Threads sometimes, you know, because they push all of the interactions at you and everything. And all it is people saying hot takes to get attention. And I have no interest in getting attention that way. Because if you get attention with a hot take, number one, 80% of the attention is negative. And my mental health, though it is good right now, cannot withstand that level of like ignorance and hatred because of like a statement you make and that. But I also just don't like going back and forth with people on the internet. So staying out of that stuff, that is absolutely in 2025. I'm going to keeping it this way. So anyway, though that has been the New Year booktuber tag, you're more than welcome to do that if you're interested at all. Please check, or you can watch my original video. You can watch Justin's original video. Of course, it's a few years old at this point now. And let me know your answers to some of them down below. All the questions listed if I remember to do that. And I hope you have a wonderful 2025. I hope I'm here for it. I hope you stick around with me for it. And let's make it amazing. So have a great day, everyone. Bye.